Hi, this is Landon again, with another video about another article about the deaths of George and Elizabeth Hodgins. I, it's just incredibly depressing to read something like this piece, which was in the Santa Cruz Sentinel and is by Nikki Pecanino. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. And you don't even have to actually get into the article. You could just read the description of the author at the end to realize we're going to be in dangerous waters, because the description is this. Nikki Pecanino is a former campaign consultant and former chief of staff to Robley Levy. She is now a full-time caregiver to her son, who is afflicted with autism. Afflicted is great. Has is good. Has autism, or is autistic, or afflicted is kind of a big value judgment. Okay. And then, or if you didn't want to read the description of the author, you could just actually read the first sentence, and you might find that it's a little self-contradictory. On a windy, cold night this week, Elizabeth Hodgins, a devoted and loving mother from Sunnyvale, took a gun and shot her child and then herself. Okay. Loving and devoted parents. Now, I know some of you are going to have a hard time with this. It's a little bit of a controversial point, I guess. But really, try to grasp this. Loving and devoting parents don't kill their children. They just don't. It's not the way it goes. If you kill your child, we do not then refer to you as a good parent. And our primary sympathy should go to the dead kid, the 22-year-old kid who was murdered by his own mom, rather than to, listen to this. Okay, so we have, she's his mom, right? But Elizabeth Hodgins was not just a mother. She was her child's nurse, his advocate, his playmate, his cook, his personal hygiene assistant, and his communicator. Elizabeth was the mother of an autistic adult child, and she was his son's entire world, meeting his every need from the moment he was born. Okay, now see, here, really, truly. Oh, hi, this is my cat. Hi. If you believe that you are your child's entire world, you're just not in a healthy situation. You need not to be. You need to extend your child's world so that it goes beyond you. You need to create a support system that extends beyond yourself. And frankly, you need to work not to self-dramatize, because the more sort of angst-ridden you get, the more difficult you are for your child to be around, the less likely your child is to make progress. The more angsty you'll get, the less likely your child is to make appropriate progress, and so on until you literally just drive each other crazy. So calm down. It's not afflicted. With is fine. But this is just not the way you want to think about your situation. And by the way, in saying that, now I'm not saying that I don't have empathy for people who are caregivers to adults with autism. It can be incredibly frustrating. It can actually be physically incredibly tiring. One of the things that actually I think is left out often is that it's just exhausting. And And also, it's very difficult when you're the primary character for someone whose needs are that overwhelming, to maintain a sense of yourself. And it's okay to feel sorry for yourself. Again, I always should say this. I would have no problem with this piece. I would have a lot less problem with this piece, and I would not be talking about it publicly if it had gone on her personal blog. I really think that because, even though the opinions here I think are personally odious, um, but I wouldn't complain about them if they were expressed within the community or in a personal way. But in some ways the most offensive. No, the most offensive thing here is that she clearly, all of her sympathy is going to the person who pulled the trigger rather than the guy who got shot by his mom. Being shot by your mom is it's a pretty bad experience, I would imagine. I've never been shot by my mom, but I just can't imagine that it's not really unpleasant. Okay. But the other thing that's really offensive is that George is just so much used here for the agenda of wanting more money for services. And I want more money for services, especially for adults like George. I want, I've been to the program that George's mom rejected for him, the one attached to the school that he'd attended his whole life. And that's one of the reasons why I have a really hard time in this case. Not a fate worse than death if she'd had to say, can George return to this program? Certainly better than being shot and killed by your mom. Again, I really think that it is the responsibility of parents to start policing each other regarding this issue. When you hear each other starting to speak as though you are the ones who count, and to the exclusion of other people, certainly we should care about the experiences of caregivers. Certainly parents should have the opportunity to talk about their experiences. But it's when they talk about those experiences in ways that are likely to make other people, especially people outside of our community, less empathetic to people like George. We need to put our foot down. We need not to extend empathy to murder. We need to recognize that when people do that, it should concern us. Someone who identifies completely with someone who killed her own child probably needs some support that personally they are not getting. We really need to be looking for warning signs. Because this can't keep happening. And when it does happen, we can't keep acting like it's okay.